I hope that you're well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 5 English lessons on sentences, fragments, and run-ons. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. Grade 5. And then we're going to scroll down. Then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of sentences, fragments, and run-ons. All right. So our chapter is on sentences, fragments, and run-ons. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on today is it a complete sentence or a fragment? And is it a complete sentence or a run-on? So that is going to be our lessons for today. All right, I'm just trying to open this one. So when it comes to sentences, fragments, and run-ons, right? In order for us to have a complete sentence, in order for us to have a complete sentence, and then a complete sentence, it is made up of, it has a subject as well as a verb, right? And a complete subject is, for example, either the person, thing, or animal that is doing the action. That is a complete sentence, a subject, right? And then we also have a complete sentence need to also have a verb, right? And the verb is the action that either the person, thing, or animal is doing. So let me just write down our heading. We said we're doing the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 5. And today we're only going to focus on 2 of the lessons. And then when we come back during the course of the week, and then we are going to complete the other lesson. So for now, we're going to focus on is it a complete sentence or fragment? And we're going to go over the lesson is it a complete sentence or a run on? So is it a complete sentence or a fragment? And is it a complete sentence or a run on? So that is going to be our lessons for today. All right. So when it comes to once again a complete sentence, right? We said that in order for a complete to show a complete sentence, right? A complete sentence, it has it has a subject and it has a verb, right? And we say the subject, it is either the person, animal, or thing that is doing the action. And a verb is the action that either the person, animal, or thing is doing, right? And then we also have a sentence fragment, right? And a sentence fragment, it is basically it doesn't show a complete sentence. And with a sentence fragment, it is either missing a subject or a sentence fragment is either missing a verb, right? So if we, for example, make a sentence or recreate a sentence, then if a sentence is missing a subject that either tells us who or what is doing the action, then that is a sentence fragment because it's not a complete sentence. Or if in the sentence we either have a person, animal, or thing, but they're not telling us what they are doing, right? And then it means that that is also a fragment because the sentence is not complete without a subject as well as a verb. It needs to have both, right? And then we have a run on sentence, right? And a run on sentence is two or more sentences that is two or more independent sentences, right? That is either maybe joined with a comma or it has no comma, it just shows one sentence, right? And we can actually fix a run-on sentence by either adding the comma to that to show the separation of the independent sentences, or you can write the two independent sentences on its own. And then writing the first sentence starts with a capital letter and it ends with a period, and then the next sentence will start with a capital letter and then end with a period. Or we can fix a run-on sentence, right, by joining the two independent sentences or the independent clauses, right, by joining it as a compound sentence, right? And when we join the two sentences, we add a comma as well as either and a conjunction. A conjunction is either and or so or but, and that will basically complete that sentence, right? All right, so let us go to aplusstudents.ca. And here we are going to continue our lesson on sentences, fragments, and run-ons. So now we're going to continue with the lessons, and we're going to look at examples and how we can either write or identify a complete sentence, how we can write or um, identify a fragment, as well as how we can write or identify a run on sentence, as well as fix a run on sentence. So the first lesson is it a complete sentence or a fragment? All right. Okay, so if we look at, it says here that a sentence, right? This is not a complete sentence. So a sentence is a group of words that forms a complete thought. It's a complete thought, right? And with a complete thought has both a subject and it has a verb, right? So a sentence is a group of words that forms a complete thought. And this complete thought, right, or the group of words that forms a complete thought, it has a subject and it has a verb, right? And remember, I said that a subject, it is a person, can be an animal, can be a thing that is doing the action, right? And then we have our verb, right? And the verb is the action that the person, animal, or thing is doing, right? They either walking, running, they talk, they jump, they think, they listen, they sing, they dance. That is examples of verbs, right? Examples of subjects can either be friends, can be mom, can be dad, can be parents, grandparents, teacher, you, me, I, they, and so on, right? And if we look at an example of a complete sentence, right? This is the example of a complete sentence. It says, my friends walk along the path. So my friends walk along the path. So we need to basically identify both subject as well as the verb within that sentence. Because remember, we said that a sentence has a subject and a verb in order to form a complete thought, right? And the subject is my friends or just friends, and the verb is walk, right? So that basically shows a complete sentence because it has a subject and it has a verb. So the V for verb and the S for subject. So that is a sentence, a complete sentence. Then we have a sentence fragment, right? And a sentence fragment is a group of words and it does not express a complete thought. It doesn't express a complete thought. And when it comes to a sentence fragment, right, we said a sentence fragment, it's usually missing a subject or it's missing a verb, right? So which means that it has a sentence, it's a sentence, it looks like it is a completed sentence, right? But it's either missing a subject or it's missing a verb, meaning that within that sentence, there's either only a subject but no verb, or there's only a verb but no subject. And if we look at the examples, right, of a sentence fragment, then here it is, knows the answer, knows the answer. So if we look at that sentence, knows the answer, our question is, who knows the answer? And they're not telling us who knows the answer, right? Which means that knows, there's only knows, right? Which means that that is a verb. So knows is a verb. So in this sentence, right, it's a sentence fragment. and it is missing a subject. There's no subject. They're not telling us who or what basically knows the answer, right? So which means that in the sentence is only a verb and it's missing a subject. And then if we look at the second sentence, right? If we look at the second sentence, it says the bright red car. So the bright red car. So if we look at that sentence, right? Remember we said that a complete sentence has a verb and a subject, right? And in this sentence, we need to ask ourselves, what did the bright red car do? So what did the bright red car do? So basically within the sentence, we're talking about the car, and this is a subject, right? For the noun. But they're not telling us what the bright red car did, which means that we are missing a verb because you need to either ask yourself, what did the bright red car do? So either the bright red car stopped, the bright red car rolled, the bright red car something, right? But it needs to tell us the action that they did. The same here with knows the answer, right? The same here with knows the answer. It's missing a subject. So we can either say she knows the answer, or we can say he knows the answer, right? But you need to tell us either who or what did something or what the car or something did. Yeah, so it's missing a verb. Well done. All right, so now we're going to do our activity and then we're going on to our test. So I'm going to underline two sentences, right? And then you're going to tell me which one. I'm going to underline it in blue and in red. And then you're going to tell me which sentence shows a complete sentence. The first sentence is parted in the busy corner, right? So parted in the busy corner, or we have the ocean current is strong. If you look at that two sentences, right? If you look at that two sentences that is underlined in blue and underlined in red, right? Which is a complete sentence? Is it the sentence that says parted in the busy market, or the ocean current is strong? So if you look at the two that's underlined, one in blue and one in red, which sentence is a complete or shows a complete sentence? Remember, it has a complete sentence as a subject and it has a verb. Yes, we are. I just quickly want us to do this activity before we go on to the test, right? All right, so if we were to identify the sentence that has both subject and a verb, right, that shows a complete sentence, then we can say the ocean current is strong. All right, so that is our answer. So the second one is correct. All right, let's look at the next one and then we go on to our test. I'm going to underline two sentences for you, and then one in red and one in blue. Then you can tell me which sentence is the correct sentence fragment. Remember, a sentence fragment, it is it's either missing a subject or it's missing a verb, right? Which means that there's either only a subject in that sentence with no verb, or there's only a verb in the sentence with no subject. So if we look at these two subjects, there's two sentences. It says drives a long distance, right? This one is the first one, and this is the second one. Or we found India on a map. We need to select the sentence that is a fragment, a sentence fragment. We need to say which one is a sentence fragment. All right, so if we were to select the correct one, that is a sentence fragment. Remember, we said that a sentence fragment is either missing a verb or it's missing a subject. So if we look at that sentence, right? So drives a long distance is correct, right? It is correct. So why do you say this is a sentence fragment? What is it missing? It's missing. It doesn't have what? It doesn't have a subject or it doesn't have a verb. Which one? Yes, so well done. So this one is missing. So we can say this one is missing a subject. So it's missing a subject, right? And well done. We need to ask ourselves the question, who drives a long distance? So we need to ask ourselves who drives a long distance, because now they're not telling us who drives a long distance. So you can either say Jane drives a long distance, the boy drives a long distance, the girl drives a long distance, the man, the woman, and so on, right? But it needs to have a subject. So well done. The underlined in red is correct, which is drives a long distance. That is a sentence fragment. It's missing a subject, right? And we need to ask ourselves who drives a long distance. So well done. Let's go to our test, right? So we're going to the test where we need to say, is it a complete sentence or a fragment? So is it a complete sentence or a sentence fragment? All right, so if we look at these two sentences, we need to say which is a sentence fragment. We need to say which one is a sentence fragment. It says option one, they sail under the bridge, or option two, the pioneers in the wagons. We need to identify or select the sentence fragment, either option one or option two, and also tell me what is it missing. All right. So if we are saying option two, then what is it missing? What is it missing? Is it missing a subject or is it missing a verb? So if we say option two, which is the pioneers in the wagons, Yes, and then we can say it is missing a verb because it's only telling us the pioneers in the wagon. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the pioneers in the wagons doing? Right? They're not telling us what are the pioneers in the wagons doing. Right? So well done. Option two is correct. It's missing a verb. We need to say which one is a complete sentence. A complete sentence, right? It has both subject and it has a verb. It says Tucker will marry Anne on Sunday. Or is it option two, the inventor of the electric car? We need to select the complete sentence. All right, so if we were to select the complete sentence, and then we will say option one, which is Tucker will marry Anne on Sunday. It has both subject and it has a verb. So well done. The subject is Tucker will marry is our verb. Sorry. So well done. All right. So which sentence has a fragment? A fragment, or is a fragment? It is either missing a subject or it's missing a verb. Is it option one? Katie's favorite doll has red hair. Or option two, a city by the river. And what is it missing? All right, so if we were to select the sentence fragment, right, that's either missing a subject or it's missing a verb, then yes, we will go with option two, a city by the river. It's not telling us what is happening by the city or at the city by the river. So it's missing a verb. So well done. So option two is correct. All right, this one says, which is a sentence fragment? A sentence fragment. Is it option one that says Irma speaks four languages? Or option two communicates well with everyone? Which one is correct? So Irma speaks four languages or communicates well with everyone. our sentence fragment. All right, so if we were to select our sentence fragment, then we will say it is option two, sorry, which is communicates well with everyone. Because now our question is who communicates well with everyone, right? So that is option two. We need to ask ourselves who communicates well with everyone, which means that yes, it is missing a subject. It's not telling us who or what communicates well with everyone. It can be she communicates well with everyone, he communicates well with everyone, the teacher communicates well with everyone, but it's not telling us who communicates well with everyone. All right. No, that is correct. That is correct because it's missing a subject. You are very well correct. And that is why I said it's we need to ask ourselves who communicates well because the who either tells us basically we need to identify a subject because we didn't know who was the one that was communicating well. So well done. Let's look at a sentence fragment. We need to identify a sentence fragment. It says drives a long distance, or option two, which is we found India on a map. We need to select the sentence fragment. Drives a long distance, or we found India on a map. So we need to select a sentence fragment. All right, so if we were to select our sentence fragment, then we will say it is option one, right? And it's missing a subject because it's not telling us who drives a long distance. So the question is who drives a long distance, right? It's missing a subject. Yes, well done. It's not telling us who drives a long distance. There's no person or thing that's telling us that they are driving a long distance. So option one is correct. Well done. There's a subject missing. So we need to say is it a sentence or a run-on? And remember, we said that a sentence is a group of words that forms a complete thought and has a subject and a verb. But now we're going on to a run-on sentence. Yes, well done. Who drives a long distance? Well done. All right, so now we said a sentence as a is a group of words that has a subject and a verb, and that shows a complete thought. But now we're going on to a run-on sentence. And a run-on sentence, it is made up of two sentences. It's two sentences that can stand on its own, right? But now it has one sentence. It's only written as one sentence, right? But this sentence has two sentences. In this one sentence, it can stand on its own and it is joined either without an end punctuation or it is joined with only a comma. And if we look at an example of a run on sentence, it says, I knocked on the door, it opened, right? No punctuation over there. Or the next one says, it started raining, we ran inside. There it has a comma. But we are now going to fix our run on sentence, right? And we can fix a run on sentence by separating it into two sentences because remember I said a run on sentence has two sentences. In this one sentence, it can stand on its own, right? And in order for us to fix this run on sentence, we can separate that two sentences so that they can stand on their own. And when we separate those two sentences, then we are going to add our end punctuation after the first sentence, and then we're going to capitalize the second sentence and also add our end punctuation at the end. And if we look at an example now, remember, look at the first one says, this was now before it was fixed. It says, I knocked on the door and it opened. There was no punctuation. But now, if we fix it, right, like over here, and then it now says, I knocked on the door, that is one sentence. And it also has our end punctuation. And the second sentence is, it opened. We capitalized the first word and then we also added our end punctuation at the end. So a run on sentence can be separated into two sentences because within that run on sentence, it already has two independent sentences that can stand on its own, right? We can also fix a run on sentence by rewriting it as a compound sentence. And a compound sentence, right? It is two sentences that is joined by a comma as well as a conjunction. And a conjunction is words such as and, but, or so. That is a conjunction, right? And if we look at an example, this is now us fixing our run on sentence. It says, I knocked on the door, comma, and it opened. Because remember, we said that if we fix it as a compound sentence, we add the comma as well as a conjunction, and there underline the comma and the conjunction. Or we can also say, it started raining, comma, so we ran inside. And these two are compound sentences. And we said a conjunction is and, which we made use of, and so. So and, but, or so, but we made use of and and so within these two sentences. And now it shows a complete sentence, but in the form of us fixing that run on sentences. All right, so now we're going on to our test, right? Let's go on to our test where we're going to say, is it a complete sentence or a run on? So, is it a complete sentence or a run on? It says, which is a run on sentence? We need to say which one is a run on sentence. It says option one, the distance between those two cities is 76 miles. Or option two, their voyage began in Spain, it ended in Mexico. We need to say which one is a run on sentence. Remember, a run on sentence, right, has two sentences in that one sentence. So if you were to separate that two sentences, then that two sentences will be able to stand on their own. So just look at that sentence again. Which one has basically two sentences in the one sentence? If you were to separate it, then that two sentences would be able to stand on their own. So if we were to say which one is a run-on sentence, then we would say it is option two, which is their voyage began in Spain, it ended in Mexico. If we were to fix this run-on sentence, right, then we could have said their voyage began in Spain, period, and the next sentence starts with capital letter for it ended in Mexico, period. So option two is correct. So well done. We need to say which is a run on sentence. A run on sentence. Is it option one that says, my tired child lies down, it's nap time? Or option two, my family moved here 2 years ago? Is it option one or option two? A run on sentence. Option one or option two. A run on sentence consists of, it looks like it's one sentence, right? But if you look within that one sentence, there's actually two independent sentences. And if we were to fix that run on sentence, then we can then fix it by having the two sentences stand on its own. So is it option one or option two? All right, so if we are going to fix our run on sentence, right, we're going to choose option one, right? So well done. It says, my tired child lies down, it's nap time. If we fix that run on sentence, then the first sentence is going to be, the tired child lies down, period, right? And the second sentence starts with capital letter for its nap time period. So well done. Option one is correct. Well done. All right. It says, which is a complete sentence? This is the last one. Which is a complete sentence? Option one. Remember complete sentence as a subject and a verb, right? One sentence. Which is a complete sentence? Is it option one? Tomorrow we will shop, we will buy groceries. Or option two, representatives from four countries talked about the treaty. So we need to say which is a complete sentence. Tomorrow we will shop, we will buy groceries. Or option two, which is representatives from four countries talked about the treaty. And remember, there must only be one subject and one verb to show a complete sentence. One subject and one verb. If there's two subjects, two verbs, and then that is a run on sentence. All right, then if we were to select our complete sentence, then yes, we will choose option two, which is representatives from four countries talked about the treaty, right? One subject, one verb, right? So well done, well done. All right, so this is now the end of our lesson, right? Which is sentence fragments and run on. In the next lesson, we will do, is it a complete sentence, a fragment, and a run on. So in the next lesson, we will go on to almost like basically you see, we're gonna go to have a breakdown on all of the subjects that we did today, right? to say if it's a sentence, a fragment, or a run on. But for now, this is the end of our lesson. We said a subject is has a sentence, complete sentence has a subject and a verb to show a complete sentence or thought. A fragment, right, is either missing a sentence, a subject, or it's missing a verb, so it's not a complete thought. And then we have a run-on sentence, right, which is two sentences, which is in one sentence. And we can fix it by either adding our in punctuations, or we can rewrite it by fixing it as writing it as a compound sentence. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade 5, for joining the class. You must have a good day further. Goodbye. No, not a problem. All right, but next time, Prabha, then you'll be part of the class. We know you're always part of it. But have a good day, everybody.